Hello everybody and welcome to my Deskbot Deck profile. I did one of these about a year ago. Since then the deck's changed a little bit. I've found some better cards to play with it. Also some cards have gotten banned. Um, Mainly Destrudo was I think the main card that was banned from the last deck list that I had. And there's been some variations recently with despots using various link or not link synchro things like jet synchron and stuff like that, but that's been banned. So I'm making a post that ban list deck, I guess. So we're gonna go ahead and just get started with it. For some reason I couldn't get my camera settings to not be super blurry, so it's a little bit blurry for whatever reason, but anyways, we'll go ahead and start off with the despot monsters. Start off with one Deskbot 1. He's the tuner of the deck. Um, I think it's the only tuner I've got in the deck, but you really play out of the main deck mostly. You don't really need the extra deck, although it does certainly help, and honestly, you should use it, but I don't think you 100% need it. I only play one Despot 1 because it is searchable off of Despot 2, and also you can Foolish Burial and put it in the graveyard, and then when two or more monsters are summoned, you can summon this from your graveyard. So he's pretty easy to get onto the field, so I don't feel like I need to play more than one of him, but if you wanted to bump it up to two, that's certainly something you could do. Next off, we're going to play 3 Deskbot 2. Now, this is the searcher of your deck. He can search literally any Deskbot card in your deck whenever it's special summoned. So he's kind of great. And I've put in some tech in this deck that makes it less of a brick to draw um, from the last deck list that I had. So you'll see some of that later on down the line. But yeah, he bumps up your guys by 500 attack and defense. And he also searches out any despot when he's special summoned. Here's the combo starter of the deck. We're going to be running 3 Deskbot 3s. So he is basically the card you always want to see in your hand. He's going to be your normal summon most often. More often than not, he'll be your normal summon. So when he's normal summoned, you can special summon a Despot monster from your deck, other than Despot 3, I believe. Yeah, except Despot 3. So you can summon a Despot monster from your deck, and also once per turn, you can target one Despot monster you control, and it gains 500 attack and defense for each Despot card you currently control until the end of this turn. So not just monster, it also includes the field spell. So you can bump up your guys for huge amounts of damage and swing for probably lethal. Next up, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Deskbot 4. Another really good card in the deck. He is your combo. He's your play extender. Also, he can basically beat over anything. So basically, during each battle phase, or during each battle, not during each battle phase. So each battle, you can send a Despot monster from your deck to the graveyard, and it gains 500 attack and defense for each level of that Despot monster. And then also, whenever it destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can special summon 2 different Despots from your hand or graveyard in, I believe it has to be defense position. Yeah, in defense position. So he's kind of great. You can recur twos back from the graveyard and extend your plays and things like that. And then he can also just beat over anything really. So he's pretty good. He's also a level 4, so you can make Gear Gigant X with him, which is kind of nice. Next, going into our Pendulum monsters of the deck, we've got 3 copies of Despot 5. Despot 5, when it's special summoned, you can target 1 spell or trap card on the field and destroy it, and it gains 500 attack for each face-up Despot monster in your extra deck. So that's only going to be the Pendulums. So it's not going to be, it probably won't be huge, but it'll be pretty beefy, especially with all the other Despot monsters synergizing with it and pumping it up even more. But this is probably not going to be your main attacker of the deck, just a little extra thing that it gets. Also, if this is in the Pendulum zone and destroyed, you can target 1 Despot monster in your graveyard and special summon it. You can only use that effect once per turn. So it's kind of great because if it gets popped in your extra or in your Pendulum zone, you can special summon probably a 2 if it's in your graveyard, and then get more off of that, because then 2 will search something. By the way, 2 is not a once per turn effect, so you can do that as many times as you want per turn. So he can get popped and then special summon a 2 and then get you another card, or you can special summon a 4, I guess, and then 4 kind of protects you from getting killed. It can do pretty useful things. 2 copies of Deskbot 6. He's very similar to Deskbot 5 in the fact that when it gets popped, he does a thing, but when he's normal or special summoned, you can target one monster on the field and change its battle position. This card gains 500 attack for each face-up Deskbot monster in your extra deck. If this card is in the Pendulum zone and is destroyed, you can target one Deskbot card in your graveyard and add that target to your hand. So he's pretty useful. You can recur 3s back to your hand for next turn, and then you can normal summon them on your next turn and have a decent play. One copy of Deskbot 7. Deskbot 7 is basically just here because it can get over defense position monsters that everything else can't, and it also kind of protects your board, which is kind of nice. It gains 500 attack for each Deskbot card in your graveyard, so that's probably going to be more useful since there's probably more likely to be more Deskbot cards in your graveyard than there are in your extra deck. Also, monsters your opponent control cannot target face-up Deskbot monsters for attack except this one, so that's pretty nice. It protects your board. And if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. So yeah, he's pretty simple. He's just in there. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but the 5s are scale 10s, the 6s are scale 1s, the 7 scale 10, and then two copies of Deskbot 8 for your other scale 1. So we're running 4 scale 1s and 4 scale 10s. And all of them have the pendulum effect that you can't pendulum summon monsters except Deskbot monsters, but that's fine because pretty much every monster in your deck is Deskbot. This card gains 500 attack for each Deskbot card in your graveyard. Your opponent cannot target face-up Deskbot cards with card effects except this one, so that's pretty useful. It protects your board from card effects because, you know, Deskbot 7 protecting it from attacks doesn't really matter since your Despots can get pretty beefy, so they can kind of just survive anything. Deskbot 8 is a lot better though because you can protect them from card effects, which is really nice. Also, this card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. So if you pump him up with Deskbot 3, it's going to be doing quite a bit of damage. And for that reason, I did not decide to run Deskbot 9 because it's kind of just a bricky card when you draw it. It's really only useful if you actually search it from the deck and go for the OTK play. But then if they just negate it, then you're just kind of fucked because then you can't really attack with anything. And I don't know. It's just not. I don't think it's a little overhyped in my opinion. Okay, so that's it for the Deskbot cards. Moving on to the other monsters in the deck, we're going to be running. Oops. Let's move those off to the side. So we're going to be running a Symphonic Warrior package. I believe this was in my last deck profile, but we're going to be running 3 Symphonic Warrior guitar and 2 Symphonic Warrior mics. So Symphonic Warrior guitar, basically, when it's in your Pendulum zone, you can discard 1 card and special summon 1 Symphonic Warrior from your deck, except for Symphonic Warrior guitar. And then Symphonic Warrior mics, whenever it is special summoned from, I guess just anywhere, it doesn't really matter. Whenever it's normal or special summoned, you basically get an additional normal summon, which is kind of great. Also, it's a level 5 machine type, which Deskbot 5 also is a level 5 machine type, so you can go into, with this thing, you can go into your Cyber Dragon Infinity play much easier, which I kind of like. And then the tech that I'm running in this deck, which I wasn't running in my last deck, I don't actually have physical or real copies of this card, so they're proxies, but whatever. I'm poor. I'm broke. I'll get real copies eventually. They're not that expensive. But if Infinitrack Anchor Drill is kind of great, it's basically a gold or silver gadget, but for earth types instead of level 4 or lower machine types. It's kind of great. You can just summon, whenever it's normal or special summoned, you can special summon 1 earth machine type monster from your hand in defense position, except for Infinitrack Anchor Drill. You can also target 1 other machine you control, and the levels of both that and this monster become the combined levels of those 2 monsters until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. So he's kind of great. He allows you to summon a monster from your hand, which if you have Deskbot 2 in your hand and you also have Infinitrack Anchor Drill, then that unbricks the Deskbot 2 because you can normal summon Infinitrack Anchor Drill and then special summon the 2 and then go off from there. Also, he allows you to make different synchro plays. If you've got, for example, he also can actually potentially help you with making Cyber Dragon Infinity if you have Infinitrack Anchor Drill in 1 in your hand, so you can make them both level 5s and then go into Infinity. So he's actually pretty useful. He's pretty great. And then to round off the monsters, I'm just playing 3 Droll and Lockbird. It's a go second deck, so you want to be able to shut your opponent out from doing anything on their first turn. This is a great card to do that, so if a card is added from the main deck to your opponent's hand except during the draw phase, you can send this from the hand to the graveyard for the rest of the turn. Cards cannot be added to from either player's main deck to the hand. A lot of decks just do crazy shit where they go through like half their fucking deck, so Droll and Lockbird can really shut your opponent out and just limit them to whatever's in their hand, which is kind of great. And then so they can't probably do anything, and then you can just go off on your next turn because they didn't set up a very good first turn board. So that's why I really like Droll and Lockbird. That's going to be it for the monster lineup. Moving on to the spell lineup. We're going to be running 3 copies of Machine Duplication. Everything in the deck is a level, or has 500 attack and defense. So Machine Dupe is absolutely fantastic. It is absolutely mandatory to run in Despots. The best target for this, there's two pretty good targets. Deskbot 4 is an alright target, so you can get 2 level 4s on the board to make yourself a Gigan X if you want. Deskbot 2 is probably the better target though. If you can get that, you can special summon the other 2 Deskbot 2s and then trigger their effects to search 2 more cards, and then you can go off from there. It's kind of great. So 3 of those, kind of mandatory. We're going to be playing 3 Forbidden Chalice in the deck. You can target 1 face-up monster on the field until the end of turn. That target gains 400 attack, but its effects are negated. So this is just another go second card. You don't want your opponent doing any crazy stuff. Also, if they have something that you maybe want to bait, you can use this to negate it, and then hopefully they try and negate this with something, and then they don't have a negate set up for the rest of your board. So it's kind of great. And if you do get the negate off and it gives them the 400 attack, who cares? Because Despots can bump up to like 1 billion attack, so it really does not matter that they gain 400 attack. So I think Forbidden Chalice is a pretty good card to have in this deck. That's it for the 3 ofs. So on to the 1 ofs. We're going to be playing 1 Despot base. Basically with this, you can shuffle. Well, first of all, it gets all Despot monsters on the field, 500 attack and defense, but also you can reveal any number of Despot cards in your hand and shuffle them into the deck, and then draw the same number of cards. It also has another effect, but you're probably never going to get this off, especially since I don't actually play Despot 9 in this deck, so you're definitely never going to get this off. Well, I guess you could technically with Despot Jet. You can banish 9 Despot cards with different names from your field and or graveyard, except for Despot base. Shuffle all cards from your opponent's hand, field, and graveyard into the deck. So that's a crazy effect, but you're never going to get that off. So it's really just here for the shuffle and the little bit of boost to attack. Only reason I play 1 of it instead of more is because that boost to attack actually does conflict with Despot 2, because then you can't use Machine Dupe on it because it becomes 1,000 attack instead of 500 attack. So I only play 1 because it's searchable off of Despot 2, and it also conflicts with Despot 2. But it is still a useful card in case your hand gets a little bricky. Play 1 Mind Control. Just steal your opponent's monster. Again, it's a go second deck, so you want to have the ability to get rid of some of your opponent's stuff. Mind Control does the job. 1 Foolish Burial. Your deck can actually play out of the graveyard with things like, Despot 5 and 6, they can recur things from the graveyard. Despot 4 can recur things from the graveyard. But also, this is mainly used for Despot 1. You can dump it to the graveyard, and then whenever you either Machine Dupe or whatever, when you get 2 monsters, especially summon at the same time, you can just recur Despot 1 back from the graveyard. So usually I just use this to dump Despot 1. 1 copy of Reasoning. You play so many different levels in this deck. Reasoning is kind of a no-brainer here. Basically, your opponent guesses a monster level from 1 to 12. You excavate the top cards of your deck until you find a monster that can be normal summoner set. And if it's the same level as the one that your opponent declared, then send all excavated cards to the graveyard. If not, you can special summon it. So most often you're going to be able to special summon something with this because you have so many different levels in the deck. You're probably going to get this off. And to round off the spells, and actually to round off the main deck, we just play 1 copy of Instant Fusion. We have 2 targets in the extra deck for Instant Fusion, and we'll go into the extra deck, and I'll show you why they're there. That is it for the main deck. Let's move off to the extra deck. And we're actually going to start with those 2 copies of instant fusion targets. We're running Panzer Dragon. It's a level 5 machine type, so works really well with the other level 5 machines types in the deck to get yourself Cyber Dragon Infinity. And then we're running Sea Monster of Theseus. It's a level 5 tuner, and you can just use it to go into some of the synchro monsters in the deck. Just pretty simple stuff there. Moving on to our Xyz, we're running Cyber Dragon Nova, Cyber Dragon Infinity. I think you all know the boat here. Infinity is a really good card. Just negate the shit out of your opponent and steal their monsters and equip it as material to negate the shit out of your opponent even more. 1 copy of Gear Gigan X. It is the Xyz monster searcher of the deck. It can search pretty much anything you want. Some good plays. You can search Symphonic Warrior guitar and then discard something to. So you search guitar, activate guitar in your pen scale, discard something, summon mics, and then you get an extra normal summon. So that's pretty useful. You can also just straight up search a Deskbot 3 if you need it for next turn. You can search a lot of things with this card. It's pretty useful. And then we also have we're running 6 level 4s in the deck, so that's pretty easy to make. Especially with Machine Dupe and Deskbot 4. Under the synchros, we're running Naturia Beast. It's a pretty good card. It's easy to make. So 1 Earth Tuner and 1 non-Earth Tuner. Every monster in the deck is Earth, so, well, with the exception of, I guess, Droll and Luckbird, but you're not going to be summoning that. Every monster in the deck that you're going to be summoning is Earth type. Well, I guess the Symphonic Warriors aren't, but most of the monsters in the deck are Earth types. So when a spell card is activated, you can send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do destroy it, this card must be face up on the field to activate and resolve this effect. That's not a once per turn effect, so that's why this card is really good. And also, like I said, you can recur stuff from the graveyard, so sending things to the graveyard really isn't that big of a deal for this deck. So I actually really like that card. I'm running Metaphys Horus. It's kind of a weird pick. I just like it because sometimes I have like the stuff on the board to go into a level 6 synchro, but then I didn't have one in the deck, so I figured put this in here. It's actually not bad. You can get off its effect monster, as well as its Pendulum monster effect. So you're never gonna get its normal effect. That's fine, but its effect monster and its Pendulum monster effects are pretty good. So basically, when this card is synchro summoned, you can activate the appropriate effects depending on the non-tuner monsters used as synchro material. So if it's an effect monster, you can target one other card or one other face-up card on the field and negate that target's effects. That's pretty good. That's a permanent negate. It's not until the end of turn. And then if it's a Pendulum monster, your opponent chooses one monster they control and gives you control of it, but it cannot attack this turn. So that's also pretty good. It gets rid of something on their board. They'll probably give you something garbage, but at least it's one less thing that they can link away with. Metaphys Horus is pretty good. I think it's a decent spot in this deck. F.A. Dawn Dragster for our level 7 Synchro monster. Gains attack equal to its level times 300. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. That doesn't really matter that much. You're probably going to be summoning this in defense position and using its effect to negate things. So each time an FA spell or trap card is activated, you can increase its level by 1. That doesn't matter. Once per turn, when your opponent activates a spell or trap card effect, or a spell or trap card or effect, you can reduce this card's level by 2, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So that's pretty good. We're just kind of killing the hell out of spells with Dawn Dragster and Naturia Beast, and then we can negate the shit out of things with Cyber Dragon Infinity. This is another sort of win condition, Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend. This card's name becomes Red Dragon Archfiend while it's on the field or in the graveyard once per turn. You can destroy as many special summoned effect monsters on the field as possible with attack less than or equal to this card, other than this card. Then inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. So this could be potentially a win condition if they've spanned the board with a lot of monsters. Chances are they're not going to have 3,000 or more attacks. You can just destroy them all, and then you can also burn them for quite a bit of damage. So could be useful. 1 copy of Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. Basically, you pop 3 things. You banish, when it's synchro summoned, you banish 1 card from your opponent's hand, field, or graveyard. and the card in hand is chosen at random. But that's pretty good. You can banish things that they could use, so pretty good. Last synchro of the deck, we got Deskbot Jet. Deskbot Jet is basically, so this card gains 500 attack and defense for each Deskbot card on the field. You can only use one of the following effects of Deskbot Jet per turn, and only once that turn. You can target one Deskbot card you control, destroy it, and if you do, special summon one Deskbot monster from your deck. So that's pretty useful. You can use that to summon a 2 to gain more advantage, summon a 4 to gain more advantage, summon a 5 to pop something, summon a 6 to change the battle position of something that you could maybe steal with Cyber Dragon Infinity if they had it in defense position. It's pretty useful effect. And then also you can target one Deskbot card you control and one face-up card on the field and destroy them. So pretty useful. You can pop things and you can summon things with it. It's pretty useful. Probably going to be a pretty big beat stick as well. So I run one copy of it. On to the Link monsters of the deck. Play one Platinum Gadget. This is definitely another tech piece that I did not have in my last Deskbot deck. At least I don't think I did. It makes Deskbot 2 not as much of a brick in the hand. So basically, once per turn, you can, during the main phase, special summon one level 4 lower machine type from your hand to a zone this card points to. And if this card is destroyed by card effect, you can special summon. Battle or card effect, you can special summon one level 4 gadget monster from your deck. That effect doesn't matter, but the special summon effect to summon a monster to one of its arrows is pretty useful, so I like that. Cleat Fort Genius. Basically, whenever whenever a monster is special summoned, hold on, there's another effect I'm missing. Hold on. So it's unaffected by spell or trap effects. And the activated effects of other Link monsters. Once per turn, you can target one face-up card on each player's field. Except this card, both cards have their effects negated until the end of the turn, so that's pretty good. It's just a negate that you can use. And then also it has another effect that's pretty useful. When two monsters are special summoned at the same time to zones this card points to, you can add one level 5 or higher machine type monster from your deck to your hand. So more card draw, pretty useful. One copy of Borlo Dragon. Either player can target this card with monster effects once per turn. Quick effect, you can target one face-up monster on the field that loses 500 attack and defense. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks an opponent's monster, you can place that opponent's monster in a zone this card points to and take control of it, but send it to the graveyard during the end phase of your next turn. So this can steal some of your opponent's stuff, which could be very annoying for them. Last card in the deck, we're playing Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. This is another negate. Basically, your entire extra deck, well, for the majority of it, your extra deck is just destroy and negate. And then your main deck is just push damage to their face. Basically, with this, you can only control one. And then the original attack of this card becomes 800 times the number of Link materials used for its Link summon, once per chain when your opponent activates a monster effect. Quick effect, you can make this card lose exactly 800 attack, and if you do, negate the activation. So another negate and potentially another big beat stick at 3200 if you use 4 monsters, which is very easy to do with this deck since this deck kind of just spams out monsters. Yeah, so pretty useful stuff. That's it for the deck profile. Just some simple combos I might go into really quick. I don't have a whole lot of time. I mean, I guess I can make this as long as I want, but we're just going to go into some simple little combos that you can do with this deck. So we got a Deskbot 3. This will be a 2-card combo. And let's say you have a Deskbot 3 and a Machine Dupe. So what you can do is normal the Deskbot 3 effect. Search special summon Deskbot 2 from the deck. Probably in defense mode, but it might not matter. Machine Dupe the Deskbot 2. Well, actually, no. Effect of Deskbot 2 first. Search yourself something. So you can search maybe one of your scales. So let's search, I don't know, Deskbot 8, sure. Then Machine Dupe, and you can special summon 2 more Deskbot 2s. Effect. Search 2 things. They're going to go ahead and search ourselves Deskbot 5, and I don't know, maybe another Deskbot 5. Why not? All right. So you can go ahead and activate your scales. So we're going to go ahead and activate these two in the scales, and then we can go ahead and we can actually, probably doing this wrong, but whatever. Wow, it's a lot of advantage. I don't think I'm showing this combo very well. We can make a platinum gadget and then send with 2 of these probably, and then maybe we should have grabbed something like a 3 or 4. Probably a 4 actually. We probably should have grabbed. You know what? Let's grab a 4 instead of this 5, just for the sake of the video. I'm great at showing things. Don't make fun of me. Don't make fun of me. Let's grab a 4 instead. So we can special summon to the 4. And then 4, we can go into battle phase. We can attack over with the 4, send probably, well, we'll send a 5. That's probably enough to beat over whatever they have. I mean, if not, we can bump up the 4 with the 3. And then we can special summon the 5 and the 2. That's not where this goes. Like that. There we go. This is garbage. This demo is garbage. Some of the 5 to 2 pop something. Maybe we even pop our own 5 with that, and then we can summon. Well, if we had the space, we could summon another 2, but we don't, so kind of pointless to do that. But yeah, we can pop something of theirs, and then we got lots of stuff we can do with this. We can go into. We have a whole bunch of monsters spammed on the board, so we can go into Appaloosa. We can go into Borload. We can just sit on this if we want. Honestly, this is not too bad to sit on. Next turn, we can sack this, go with something else. Lots of stuff you can do with this. It's a pretty spammy deck. It's pretty fun. Makes Cyber Dragon Infinity pretty easily, actually. It's not actually that hard to get Cyber Dragon Infinity, especially with the Symphonic Warrior package. So that's it for the deck profile. Hope you enjoyed, and if you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, would really help me out, and I will see you guys in the next one.